Begin terms and conditions legal notice. The publisher has strived to be as accurate and complete as possible in the creation of this report, notwithstanding the fact that he does not warrant or represent at any time that the contents within are accurate due to the rapidly changing nature of the Internet. While all attempts have been made to verify information provided in this publication, the publisher assumes no responsibility for errors, omissions, or contrary interpretation of the subject matter herein. Any perceived slights of specific persons, peoples, or organizations are unintentional. In practical advice books, like anything else in life, there are no guarantees of income made. Readers are cautioned to rely on their own judgment about their individual circumstances to act accordingly. This book is not intended for use as a source of legal, business, accounting, or financial advice. All readers are advised to seek services of competent professionals in legal, business, accounting, and finance fields. You are encouraged to print this book for easy reading. Forward: occasionally, you want to go for a walk, knowing how great it is for your health and how fantastic you feel afterwards, yet, you feel too lazy, and would like to watch television instead. You may be aware of the fact that you have to alter your eating habits or quit smoking, yet, you don't have the inner power and doggedness to alter these habits. Does this seem familiar? How many times have you stated, "I wish I had willpower and self-discipline"? How many times have you begun to do something, only to stop after a short while? We all have had experiences like these. Everybody has some addictions or habits they wish they could overcome, like smoking, excessive eating, laziness, procrastination, or lack of self-assertiveness. To overpower these habits or addictions, one needs to have willpower and self-discipline. They make a big difference in everybody's life, and bring inner strength, self-mastery, and decisiveness. Discipline 101: Break the cycle of bad discipline. Works even if you're a lazy person. Chapter 1. What is willpower and self-discipline? Synopsis: Willpower is the power to subdue laziness and procrastination. It's the power to command or reject unneeded or injurious impulses. It's the power to arrive to a decision and follow it with doggedness till its successful achievement. It's the inner might that overcomes the desire to indulge in unneeded and worthless habits, and the inner strength that overpowers inner emotional and mental opposition for taking action. It's among the fundaments of success, both spiritual and material. Self-discipline is the associate of willpower. It empowers with the stamina to hold on in whatever one does. It imparts the power to withstand adversities and troubles, whether physical, emotional, or mental. It allots the power to reject immediate satisfaction, in order to get something better, but which calls for effort and time. Behind discipline, everybody has inner, unconscious, or partly conscious impulses, making them state or do things they later rue stating or doing. On a lot of occasions, individuals don't think before they talk or act. By formulating these two powers, one becomes witting of the inner, subconscious impulses, and derives the power to reject them when they're not for his/her own good. These two powers help us to pick our behavior and reactions, rather than being dominated by them. Their possession won't make life hoem or boring. To the contrary, you'll feel more powerful, in charge of yourself and your environment, happy and gratified. How many times have you felt too powerless, lazy, or shy to accomplish something you wish to act? You are able to gain inner strength, initiative, and the power to arrive at decisions and follow them. Believe me, it isn't difficult to develop these two powers. If you're sincere and are willing to get stronger, you'll surely succeed. In this book, you'll find a few exercises and strategies for developing these abilities. These easy, but effective exercises may be performed every place and at any time. Go slowly and gradually, and you'll see how you get stronger and your life begins improving. There's a misconception in the public mind regarding willpower. It's erroneously thought to be something arduous and difficult, and that one has to exert and tense the body and brain when expressing it. It's a totally wrong concept. This is among the reasons why individuals avoid utilizing it, though they're conscious of its does good. They acknowledge the fact that the use of willpower in their life and affairs will greatly assist them and that they have to strengthen it, yet they do nothing about it. Willpower gets stronger by holding off and not allowing the expression of insignificant, unnecessary, and unhealthy ideas, feelings, actions, and reactions. If this saved energy isn't allowed expression, it's stored inside you like a battery, and it becomes available at the time of need. By rehearsing suitable exercises, you develop your powers the same way as an individual who trains his/her muscles in order to fortify them. Chapter 2. Why you need discipline. Synopsis: Why do you require self-discipline? What may it do for you, and is it worth the work of developing it? Among the main characteristics of self-discipline is the power to forego instant and immediate gratification and pleasure, in favor of some higher gain or more substantial results, even if this calls for effort and time. Self-discipline provides you the power to stick with your decisions and follow them through, without changing your mind, and is consequently one of the crucial requirements for accomplishing goals. The possession of self-discipline enables you to select, and then hang in with actions, thoughts and behavior, which lead to betterment and success. It likewise presents you the might and inner strength to overcome addictions, procrastination and laziness and to carry out whatever you do. This is a really useful and required skill in everyone's life, and though most individuals acknowledge its importance, yet very few do anything to develop and fortify it. The wise contrary to general belief, self-discipline isn't a severe and limited behavior or a restrictive lifestyle. It's a really useful inner power, which enables one to hang on and not give up, despite failure and setbacks. It grants its possessor self-command, and the power to resist temptations and distractions that tend to stand in the way of attaining aims and goals. As a matter of fact, it's among the most crucial pillars of real and stable success. Acting in the way mentioned above leads to self-assurance, self-regard and inner strength, and to happiness and satisfaction. Lack of self-discipline might lead to failure to reach goals, even minor ones, and to loss, health and relationships issues, obesity and other troubles. Life frequently presents challenges and issues on the path to success and accomplishment, and in order to rise above them you have to behave with perseverance and persistence, and this calls for self-discipline. You also need this skill to cure and overcome eating disorders, addictions, smoking, drinking and other damaging habits. Self-discipline establishes inner strength, character and stableness. It helps you command appetite, restlessness, anger and natural responses. It enables you to withstand all kinds of unneeded temptations, like overeating, watching too much television, gossiping, gambling or taking unneeded risks. Having self-discipline heightens considerably your chances of accomplishing success in whatever you do. All the great things in life require time to grow and yield fruit, which means you require tolerance, patience and doggedness, all of which are the byproduct of self-discipline. This power may help you in your occupation, at work, in study, in sport, in meditation and in everything else. Individuals nowadays want instantaneous results and instantaneous gratification, but this isn't always possible. Individuals who excel in their selected field commonly study, make experiments, make errors and learn from them. They frequently groom and train themselves, occasionally even for years, such as in sports for instance. If they lacked discipline, which supplies inner strength and patience, they'd have thrown in the towel in the early stages. An individual with a disciplined mind controls what she says, and may therefore keep great relationships with others. A self-disciplined individual commonly commands respect from others, and doesn't easily feel hurt or insulted by what individuals say or do. A self-disciplined individual has more control over her thoughts and responses. With this power, it is easier to go through life and accomplish goals. This list can go on and on. Chapter 3. Perseverance synopsis. Do you complete what you begin? Do you possess enough inner strength to go through with what you begin doing? How many times have you begun to do something with exuberance and energy, and then lost your enthusiasm and vigor after a while? How many times have you made promises to yourselves and to other people, with the intention of following them through, only to forget about them after a while? Doggedness. Occasionally, we don't complete what we begin, as we recognize that we don't truly want what we began doing. It calls for too much time or cash than what we're willing to invest. We recognize that there are more crucial things we want. We have a gut feeling that this isn't the right thing to do. Rather often, we make promises and begin doing things without previous thinking and analysis. We begin doing things due to temporary exuberance, in response to something we saw or heard, but when the exuberance wanes, so does the want to follow through. In all these cases, and additional like ones, our decision to give up what we're doing may be justified occasionally, and unwarranted at other times. The issue begins when we quit, due to lack of self-discipline and doggedness. If we lack self-discipline and doggedness, how may we accomplish anything, even little minor, day-to-day tasks? How do you feel when time after time you give up because you lack self-discipline and doggedness? Do you feel disappointed? Do you lose faith in yourself to accomplish things? The great news is that you are able to develop these two important inner assets. Think before you take action. A lot of the projects we quit, we begin without thinking and analyzing their usefulness. Establish your priorities before you begin. What is more crucial now? Whenever you feel that you're losing exuberance and interest, consider and visualize the advantages, and how what you're doing will benefit and better your life, and other people's lives. I won't tell you, stick to what you're doing, no matter what, because if you have to be told this sentence, it means you lack self-discipline and doggedness, and these words won't help you. You'll have to develop these skills, but how may you do so, if you can't finish what you begin? This is a vicious cycle situation. You require some measure of self-discipline, and likewise a strong incentive to begin. How may you develop self-discipline and doggedness, if you lack the power to persevere? The solution is to begin with easy exercises designed to develop self-discipline and doggedness, and with tasks that you are able to achieve quickly. By acting in that way you build self-confidence and faith in yourself, and you'll step by step be able to accomplish things that call for more effort. In time, you'll be able to utilize the skills you develop, to follow and hang in with any plan, project, goal or resolution. Chapter 4, Inner Strength Synopsis. Willpower is the inner strength and the inner engine that moves towards success and accomplishment. It's the might that pushes into action in each area of life. Willpower is among the most important worthy inner powers, and its lack or presence determines whether you'll fail or achieve your wants and aspirations and accomplish success. Willpower is mistakenly considered as a quality belonging only to extremely successful individuals, who depend upon strength and power to accomplish their goals. The reality is that it may be developed by everybody, and it's crucial, useful and desirable in the little affairs of life, as it's in the accomplishment of major goals. If you commonly feel too lazy, developing your inner strength will help you to overpower this laziness. If you commonly dilly-dally, possess low self-esteem, feel powerless and vulnerable or lack self-control, fortifying this power will help you also. Inner power. Willpower, which is inner strength, evidences the power to command unnecessary and disadvantageous impulses. It likewise manifests as the power to decide, abide by this decision, and follow it with perseverance till its successful achievement. This power gives you the bravery and strength to endure and overpower inner and outer resistance, troubles and hardships. There are several who lack the inner strength to state no. Other people find it hard to follow and assert their ideas and notions. A few are afraid to take action and make changes, or they lack resolution and the doggedness to go on with their plans to the end. A secure power of the will may alter all this. It's the right and privilege of everybody to formulate this power. Everybody may develop it to a greater or smaller extent, depending upon the desire, serious-mindedness, ambition and time devoted to formulating and fortifying this inner strength. You don't require ultra-ordinary powers to formulate it. You don't have to sleep on a bed of nails, fast or stand on one foot for days, as fakirs do. The concept that the development of willpower calls for you to get suffering and physical mutilation isn't honest. Developing willpower and inner power is a gradual process that anybody may undertake. A few will be able to accomplish high levels of power, while other people will accomplish different degrees of development, but the way is open to all. You'll have to give up a few unneeded and harmful pleasures and alter a few unhealthy habits, but this is for a higher good. You give up something adverse or useless, in order to acquire strength and power that will help you in each area of your life. As a matter of fact, the whole procedure may be turned into an absorbing, gratifying and interesting challenge. Training and exercising your willpower will fill you with strength, bravery, and self-assertiveness. As your power develops, it will be simpler for you to get rid of habits and attitudes that stand in your way to a more beneficial life. You'll acquire inner strength that will help you at your occupation and at home, in your relationships, with conducting your tasks and with achieving your aspirations. How many times have you wished you had more inner strength, self-control or self-discipline? How many times you lacked adequate doggedness and inner stamina to follow your choices and plans? Do you look up to and respect strong people, who have overpowered obstacles and troubles and reached far, because of the inner strength they had? Most individuals are not born with inner strength, but it may be developed like any other skill. Inner strength consists of willpower, self-discipline, self-control, doggedness, detachment, the power to concentrate and peace of mind. These skills are crucial and essential tools for success in all areas of life. They may be learned and developed like any other skill, yet, despite this, only few take any steps to develop and fortify them in an orderly way. Here are a few drills to beef up your inner powers that utilize ordinary day-to-day actions. Don't read the paper for a couple of days. From time to time, drink your Java or tea without sugar. Climb up the stairs rather than taking the elevator. Park your automobile a little further away from your destination, so that you have to walk. Now and then, choose not to watch one of your favorite television shows. Read a book that's useful and enlightening, but which you find tedious. Curtail your desire to pick apart people. Detain your desire to retort angrily. Attempt to get out of bed quickly on a low-temperature day. These are only a couple of illustrations to show you how you are able to formulate your inner strength. By rehearsing these or like exercises you acquire inner power, which you are able to utilize when you're in need of it. By rehearsing them, you formulate your inner muscles, just like lifting barbells develops your physical muscles. Chapter 5. Comparing willpower to resolutions. Synopsis. True willpower has nothing to do with arriving at emotional resolutions. These are two totally different things. There's a basic misinterpreting of what willpower means, and it's frequently confused with doing things emotionally. Occasionally, in reaction to particular situations or events, we on the spur of the moment want to follow a particular activity, goal or desire, and we enthusiastically and emotionally begin doing something about it. The issue is that after some time the emotions settle down, and we quit what we have began, as we lack enough inner power and strength to carry on. The difference is we frequently arrive at resolutions and promises to do something, act in a specific way, study, seek a job or a partner and so on, and we may even begin acting according to our resolutions, but this goes on only for a little while. We begin with much noise, but terminate in silence. We arrive at resolutions enthusiastically and optimistically, but then we lose our exuberance and stop doing what we promised ourselves to do. This sort of behavior dampens the power of the will, and makes us lose faith in our power to utilize our willpower. Then we may even begin trusting that willpower is simply a myth, an artificial thing. This is an inaccurate idea, as no real willpower was involved here. As stated earlier, most of the resolutions that individuals arrive at are triggered by emotions. They arrive at them in reaction to some strong emotion or thought, and seldom because of common sense and sensible, balanced thinking. The driving powers behind these resolutions are feelings and emotions, but feelings and emotions are not unchanging and not constant. 1 minute you may feel you are able to subdue the world, and a minute later you might feel weak and clumsy, and everything appears so impossible to do. A resolution made on the spur of the moment is commonly worthless. The emotion that triggered it may disappear a little while later, and there will be no want left to continue the resolution. A different crucial point to mention is that subconscious habits are mightier than any resolution, and they commonly overpower any decision and want for change. All this leads individuals to trust that they lack willpower, and to regard it as artificial, as a fantasy, but this isn't so. No willpower has been involved in such resolutions, simply temporary emotions and wants. True willpower is something absolutely different. It is not acquired in a day, but calls for training over a period of time. You can't expect a physically frail individual to lift heavy weight, but if he trains himself on a regular basis, he will become stronger. It's the same with the fortifying of the power of the will. True willpower isn't dependent upon feelings, emotions, impermanent enthusiasm or optimism. It's an ability that's formulated over a period of time and may turn into a habit. After developing it, you'll be able to utilize it whenever and wherever needed. Training of the will likewise originates self-discipline, as both abilities are interrelated. Such training likewise originates concentration, doggedness, assertiveness, self-confidence and the inner strength to arrive at decisions with a balanced, serene mental attitude, and carry them out till their successful fulfillment. You become conscious of a fantastic inner might, which is an inseparable part of you. Ceaseless training of the power of the will results in a true power, which is always available. It isn't the same as programming the brain to do one specific action, and then, if you need to do something else, you begin again programming the brain for that other action. True willpower is like a master key. When present, it may be applied to any kind of action or conclusion. Anybody who's willing and prepared to devote a little time to develop and strengthen his willpower will be extremely rewarded. True training proceeds gradually, and once the inner power becomes stronger, you'll be able to undertake some harder exercises. How far you'll go in developing this crucial ability depends on how much time, effort and earnestness you're willing to invest. Chapter 6. How self-control ties in. Synopsis. Self-control is the power to control impulses and responses, and is a different name for self-discipline. It is not some sort of negative and limiting behavior, as a few individuals may believe. When self-control is utilized wisely and with good sense, it becomes one of the most crucial tools for self-improvement and for accomplishing success. Control. In what way does self-control assist you? It keeps under control self-destructive, addictive, obsessional and compulsive action. provides you a sense of personal mastery over your life, and bestows balance into your life. Self-control assists to keep over emotional reactions in check or moderation. Self-control does away with the feeling weakness and being too dependent on other people. It helps to manifest mental and emotional separation, which contributes to peace of mind. It enables to command moods and reject damaging feelings and thoughts. Self-control beefs up self-esteem, confidence, inner strength, self-mastery and self-will. It enables you to take control of your life. It makes you a responsible and trustworthy human. There are assorted obstacles to self-control, like deficiency of knowledge and understanding what self-control truly is. Solid and uncontrolled emotional responses. Reacting to exterior stimulants, without thinking first. Deficiency of discipline and willpower. Deficiency of the desire to alter and improve. Considering self-control as a restricting and unpleasant activity. The notion that self-control eliminates merriment. Lack of trust in oneself and in one's abilities. Acquiring self-control. First of all, you have to identify in what areas of your life you have to gain more self-control. Where do you find yourself deficient in self-control? Possible areas may be eating, buying, drinking, workplace, betting, smoking, obsessional behavior. Attempt identifying the emotions that lack control, like angriness, dissatisfaction, sadness, resentment, delight or fearfulness. Distinguish the thoughts and notions that push you to act in unrestrained manner. A lot of times a day, particularly when you have to display self-control, repeat for a moment or two one of the accompanying affirmations: I'm fully in command of myself. I've the power to pick my emotions and thoughts. Self-control brings me inner strength and guides me to success. I'm in control of my responses. I'm in command of my behavior. I'm gaining command of my emotions. I'm the master of my life. Daily my power to control my feelings and thoughts is increasing. Self-control is amusing and pleasure. Envision yourself acting with self-control and self-restraint. Take one of the cases where you commonly respond with lack of control, and visualize that you're behaving calmly and with self-mastery. Your self-control will better considerably, if you work at developing and beefing up your willpower and self-discipline through suitable exercises. This is really the most crucial step for developing self-control. Self-control is critical for controlling and overcoming obsessions, fears, addictions and any sort of undesirable behavior. It puts you in command of your life, your behavior and your reactions. It betters your relationships, develops patience and tolerance, and is a crucial tool for attaining success and happiness. By formulating and strengthening your willpower and self-discipline, you formulate and strengthen your self-control. Chapter 7, Concentration Synopsis. When I was a youngster, I witnessed how a magnifying glass could burn a piece of paper, when the rays of the sunshine were focused through it. The fire could start only when the sun's rays were centralized to a small point. When the magnifying glass was moved too far off or too close to the paper, the rays weren't centered enough and nothing occurred. This experience describes vividly the might of concentration. This power may be described as centered attention. It's the power to direct the attention to one single thought or subject, to the exclusion of everything else. When our brain is centered, our energies are not dissipated on irrelevant activities or thoughts. This is why formulating concentration is crucial to anybody who aspires to take charge of his or her life. This skill is indispensable for every sort of success. Without it, our efforts become scattered, but with it, we may achieve great things. Concentration has a lot of uses and advantages. It helps in studying and understanding faster, betters the memory, and helps in centering on any task, job, action or goal, and accomplishing it more easily and efficiently. It's likewise required for developing psychic abilities, and is a mighty tool for the efficient utilization of creative visualization. When this power is developed, the brain obeys us more readily and doesn't engage in futile, damaging thoughts or worries. We gain mental mastery and we experience true peacefulness. Center this power also plays a crucial role in meditation. Without it, the brain simply jumps restlessly from one thought to a different, not letting us meditate the right way. Do you now recognize why it's really important and worthwhile to formulate and better the ability to concentrate? To develop this power, you have to train and exercise it. Forget all your excuses about not having the time or being too busy. Don't say that the conditions are not appropriate or that you can't find a quiet place to exercise. With a little designing, want and motivation, you are able to always find the time to exercise every day, regardless how busy you are. Thoughts claim our attention ceaselessly and waste our time and energy on insignificant and worthless matters. They really rule our life. We have become so used to this bondage that we take it for granted, and have become unconscious of this habit, except on particular occasions. While breathing, we don't need to pay attention to every inhalation and exhalation. We get conscious of the procedure of breathing only if we have some trouble with breathing, such when our nose is clogged due to a cold, or when we're in an unventilated room. It's the same with thinking. We get conscious of the constant barrage of our thoughts, and of our inability to calm them down, only if we have to concentrate, solve an issue or study. We're likewise acutely aware of them when we have worries or concerns. View the following familiar state of affairs. You have to study something for your job or for an exam. You sit comfortably on the couch with the book in your hands and begin reading. After a while, you feel hungry and go to the kitchen to have something. You come back to read, and then hear inhabit talking outside. You listen to them for many moments and then bring your attention back to the book. After some time you feel restless and turn on the radio to listen to some music. You continue to read for a bit, and then recall something that happened yesterday, and you begin thinking of it. When you view your watch, you're astonished to find out that 1 complete hour has passed and you've scarcely read anything. This is what occurs when one lacks concentration. Envisage what you could have achieved if you could control your attention and center your mind. Work that calls for physical strength, like carrying heavy loads for instance, develops physical strength. Yet, it isn't as exercising daily at the gym in a systematic manner. It's the same with concentration. Studying, reading and trying to pay attention to what we do, develop some of this power, but rehearsing exercises diligently daily is something else. It's like training in a gym. In order to formulate this power we have to train our brains. Most individuals believe that concentration is a strenuous and tiring activity, and that it involves effort and tension, which are hard and unpleasant. This notion begins at an early age. Parents and teachers expect youngsters to study, do their homework and get great grades. This brings up in the youngsters a feeling of being forced and coerced to do something they don't like doing. If they're too often told that they're not concentrating well enough, they develop a loathing for concentration, and frequently for studying too. These become associated with coercion, deficiency of freedom, doing something they don't like to do, and which is against their will. When they grow up, it's no wonder that their powers of concentration are weak, and they've no one to strain their minds. Though most individuals acknowledge the fact that great concentration is an excellent asset, yet most of them do nothing to fortify it, because they don't know how and as they lack the motivation. It's hoped that this will provide the necessary data and motivation. Concentration may be fun, if approached incorrectly. It ought to be practiced with joy, positive attitude, optimism, and understanding of its great possibilities. Occasionally you are able to find strong powers of concentration in yourself. When you truly and earnestly wish to excel in your studies, pass a crucial exam or solve an issue, this power becomes available to you. In such instances, it appears because of some need or want, but developing it in an orderly way brings it under your control, and grants you the power to utilize it intentionally, whenever you require it. To do so, you have to rehearse special exercises on a day-to-day basis. Here is what you may gain by developing this power: control of your thoughts. The power to focus your mind. Peacefulness. Freedom from futile and pesky thoughts. The power to choose your thoughts. Better memory. Self-assurance. Inner strength. Willpower. Decisiveness. The power to study and comprehend more quickly. Inner happiness. Enhanced capacity to develop psychic abilities. More powerful and efficient utilization of creative visualization. Heightened ability to meditate. And a great deal more. Exercise, select some thought and see how long you are able to hold your mind on it. It's nice to have a clock initially and keep track of the time. Imagine you decide to consider health as being a great blessing in the world. Don't let any additional thought drift in. Just the minute one starts to intrude, make it disappear. Make it an everyday habit of centering on this thought for, perhaps 10 minutes. Practice doing this till you may hold it to the exclusion of everything else. You may have to do this exercise regularly for 10 days or more in order to sharpen your concentration skills. Chapter 8, Growing Willpower and Self-Discipline. Synopsis. And good technique for developing and improving these abilities is to execute particular actions or activities, which you would sooner avoid doing due to laziness, putting things off, weakness, shyness, etc. By doing something that you don't like doing or are too lazy to accomplish, you overpower your subconscious resistance, train your brain to obey you, fortify your inner powers and gain inner strength. Muscles become stronger by resisting the power of the barbells. Inner strength is achieved by overpowering inner resistance. Remember, beefing up one of these abilities automatically beefs up the other one. Drill. Here are a few drills. 1. You're sitting in a bus or train and an old man or woman, or a pregnant woman walks in. Stand up and give up your seat even if you want to stay seated. Do this not simply because it's polite, but because you're doing something that you're reluctant to do. In that way you're overpowering the resistance of your body, brain and feelings. 2. There are dishes in the sink that have to be washed and you postpone washing them for later. Get up and wash them now. Don't let your laziness overpower you. When you recognize that in this way you're developing your willpower, and if you're convinced of the importance of self-command in your life, it will be simpler for you to do whatever you need to do. 3. You come home exhausted from work and sit in front of the television, as you feel too lazy and exhausted to go and wash. Don't obey the desire to simply sit, but go and get a shower. 4. You might know your body requires some physical exercise, but rather you keep on sitting doing nothing or viewing a movie. Get up and walk, run or do another physical exercise. 5. Do you like your Java with sugar? Then for an entire week, decide to drink it without sugar. You like to drink 3 cups of coffee daily? For a week, drink only 2. 6. Occasionally, when you wish to say something that is not crucial, decide not to say it. 7. Don't study some unimportant gossip in the paper, even if you wish to. 8. You've a desire to eat something not too healthy. For the sake of the exercise, refuse the want. 9. If you discover yourself thinking insignificant, unnecessary, damaging thoughts, attempt to develop lack of interest in them by thinking of their futility. 10. Overpower your laziness. Convince yourself of the importance of what is to be accomplished. Convince your brain that you gain inner strength when you act and accomplish things, despite laziness, reluctance or senseless inner resistance. Never say that you can't follow the above exercises, as you surely may. Be relentless regardless what. Motivate yourself by thinking of the importance of executing the exercises, and the inner power and strength you'll gain. Trying to attempt too many exercises when you're still a novice may end in disappointment. It's better to begin with a few simple exercises initially, and then gradually step up their number and move to the harder exercises. Most of these exercises may be practiced any place and at any time, and you don't have to commit special times for them. They'll train and grow your inner strength, enabling you to utilize it whenever you require it. If you practice weightlifting, running or aerobic exercise, you fortify your muscles, so that when you have to move or carry something heavy for instance, you've the strength for it. By reading French daily, you'll be able to talk French when you visit France. It's the same with willpower and self-discipline. By fortifying them, they become available for you to utilize whenever you require them. If for the sake of an exercise, you quit doing something that you commonly do, and overcome the inner resistance concerning it, you might resume doing it, if it is not adverse. For instance, if you love drinking OJ, and for the sake of an exercise you shift to drinking apple juice, after doing so for some time and after it makes no big difference to you, you might go back to drinking orange juice, if you still love it. The point here is to develop inner strength, not making life hard for you or continue doing things you don't like to do. Wrapping up, you require these skills to control your thoughts, better your concentration, and to become the boss of your brain. The stronger these skills are, the more inner strength you own. Being the master of your brain, you enjoy inner peace and happiness. External events don't sway you, and conditions have no power over your peacefulness. This may sound too unreal for you, but experience will prove to you that all the above is real. These skills are vital for accomplishing success. They give you more control over your life, help you change and better habits, and are essential for self-improvement, spiritual growth and meditation. Rehearse the exercises presented here in earnest and persistently, and your life will begin changing. Thank you.